Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at SmashItDerby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at StirringDirtRacing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 414 on deck. And I was watching all the switches and buzzers and everything working over there as Nate was producing the show, and this is the first time through the new studio, and it was almost an out-of-body experience. Like, I don't know.
I come walking in, and I stumbled over the thing they have over all the wires running across the other side of the studio, and I thought it was you behind the thing, and it wasn't.
It is not.
And so we come in and sit down and find out we have a producer. So
this is exciting.
Chris Marquardt only has to give us Derby facts from now on. We have Nick the Bomb producer over there, so he's taking care of us. And here we are in a beautiful new studio.
This is incredible. I
This
mean,
is
to
really
think
awesome.
about where we came from over there on
I love the old studio though. The ambiance, you know what I mean? The ambiance. But this is very nice.
You got a nice chair now.
I do. Great. Hey, this is Jim and the entire Finger Lakes One crew. Really have some awesome stuff going on in here. It's great to see the growing they're doing. They do a lot for the community. My favorite thing they do is they get the kids basketball. All season basketball. So I really enjoy that. But yeah, so it's great to see that Finger Lakes One is able to do this stuff, get it out there a little more, and this is awesome.
Like I said, hi to everybody. We are back on Facebook. We're back on YouTube, both with episode number 414. We haven't been here since the week before Iron City Nationals.
Yeah.
They're in the process of putting everything together and getting that final move. This is the third studio that we've been in with this show in the last 400 some episodes, and when you factor in the 31st lap and final round, and here we're over 600 shows.
That's crazy.
And this is the first time that I haven't had to do anything with the audio or the computers, and it is really, really weird.
Yeah, I'm going to see if my wife can find Chris a fidget spinner or something for his hands. He's over here with his hands in his lap, not really know what to do. But it is, we've talked about it a million times. Chris, when we do any of our shows, Chris has a lot on his plate. So it's good for him just to be able to relax a little bit and just talk to her because he really enjoys that. So I'm happy to see, the producer in here working with us, and onward and upward.
We're going to be sending all sorts of stuff to Nate on Sundays and Mondays now, so he's going to have to weed through some of that stuff. We're also going to change up how we do our notes because we don't have the computer to have the little script left. But yeah, but this is there's at least 3 different sets in here right now. And there's all sorts of stuff coming down the line. Like, we haven't even scratched the surface with all the remote camera work that they've done.
You think we can talk Jim and letting us bring in like parts and stuff that's been on fire?
The thing is,
probably not in here.
Like, we could, we might actually have someplace to hang Rick's door now.
That'd be cool.
But I'm pretty sure that they're not going to let us start slamming holes in the studio walls. But just the whole thing, I kind of peeked in the old studio, and the wall was still there with all the memorabilia, and we had all the autograph stuff from Chuck Siprich and the truck and the stuff from that we picked up from the diecast cars from out from Dunkirk and
Chops Boy as well.
And Chops Boy, yep. So like it was just weird, kind of like looking into with that back wall almost being the time capsule, from when we had stuff going on at Amy's Checkered Flag. It was really
Psyopus towels up there.
Yep, and we've got some stuff from Super Dirt Week too. Yeah. That's up there too. That was this weekend. We'll dive into that. The biggest thing that kind of struck me was there was 2 shows on the Unified Point Series since the last time we were on. Well, 3, because there was Iron City, then there was Spring Explosion, and then there was
Mayhem.
Metal Mayhem, and then there was also the Final Confrontation.
Yep.
And I don't know if you noticed that, but the win in the limited weld, the weld class was Toby Hiley.
Yeah. Happy to see that. Yeah, he's pretty good.
And they were able to crown the national champion there. We've got some stuff to go over from Christy Germain. They're at a derby right now. She's like, the quickest update I can throw to you is this stuff, because it was it caught her a little bit off guard. But they've got their stuff that's cranking away up there in Canada. I did see that Brian McClung ran, and for the first time, Ronnie wasn't going to be able to get to, I mean, I'd like to say his hometown fair, but he would travel to California if there was a derby, and he
Yes.
had enough time. So the hometown fair might not be completely accurate, but he was in the process of getting ready to go, and then he had another car in the trailer to go to Simcoe. So he's all over the place anyway. So
We some local guys, Jeremy Gully and the Spinning Wheels crew. They ran a couple shows after. Around San Filippo, they've had. I think Gully's got a string of like 3 shows on
was
the road.
San Filippo Unified Points Show?
No,
Meltdown was. One of those was, but I can't remember. I think it must have been Meltdown.
yeah, I think it was Meltdown. Gully picked up like 3 Mad Dogs and I think 2 seconds and a third. And said, "You really got that Mad Dog thing figured out." He kind of chuckled. So yeah, the guys been pretty busy, but Bobby Whitaker won his 4th Metal Mayhem. Hard to believe. The guy that finished second was his best friend. I saw a picture of Bobby's car afterwards, and the front bumper was pointed at the sky. So I'm thinking they must have done a little battle when it came down to those two. So congratulations goes out to him.
4 of them.
4.
I mean,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
And it's not like Santel was in the feature. Mark Lee was in the feature. There was some big names in that feature. It was by no means, it was anybody's game going into it. I mean, it was, it was not an easy show by any means.
And they've reduced the build over there for that
Yes.
too. I mean, by dialing it back, I'd like to hope that it has somewhat fixed the show. You know what I mean? To get it back to where it was entertaining, but it didn't slow Bobby down from
No.
from doing Bobby things.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good at what he does. That's for sure. The team lists have come out for Blizzard Bash. All the team list and the single runs have all come out. Some pretty interesting teams out there. Some pretty interesting people in the singles. So
Did I see that Sam Bando is the captain of the WRP team?
I don't
Was that official?
believe
I thought that
so.
I didn't realize that. I saw that post
I read
from Blizzard Bash, and it caught me a little bit off guard, but because I thought that he already was the captain, and it felt like it read like it was new news, because he runs with Jerry Van Gameren, and he runs with
Well, WRP, that's Rosno's team.
right. What did I say?
You said WRP.
Okay, yeah. I thought when I read that,
Bando's never been on their team.
I'm pretty sure he has.
It was Rosno, Ort, and then
Hang
Ort
on.
stepped away last year.
Did I say the wrong thing? Sam Bando is the captain. Is not the captain of. Kenny Rosno is the captain of WRP. That was
Yes.
the post, and that read to me like it was news. And I always thought that.
No, Kenny's been right
Kenny's
now.
always
Yeah.
been. Yeah, I misspoke.
I read that
got
this is
wrapped
going
up
to be
in
his
the-
last Blizzard Bash.
I've read that the last 3 years. I thought.
Kenny's a great showman, great wheelman, great builder. So
I apologize. Yeah, that was I misspoke. It was Kenny Rosno
Yes.
was the one that was on that post, and they're on the national side. I mean, they're
well,
he's
happened
gonna
right
run
along.
the car.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures of, I don't know when the pictures were taken. I believe they were teaser pictures that were probably taken back before snow was 6 feet deep in Wisconsin. But Derek Creetlow had some photos, and I just saw there was some apparel kicking around for Team Ass Kicker. So safe bet that those guys are going to be back again this year.
Cal Stodas is going to be back.
Who's on that team now?
Chris the Magician. Chivers. I think one of the Johnsons, maybe. I can't remember who the 4th one was. I was just looking at it too.
Yeah.
But
I saw the purses and stuff. The schedule has been released for Bash for Cash as well.
Yeah.
That was
some interesting comes and goes, and
The farm
monies
trucks
and-
are gone.
Yeah, as well as turn back the clock class.
But there's $30,000 waiting out there for the winner of that team heat.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. that's not a bad payoff at all.
The team heat is such a different dynamic. I mean, it just changes things so much front to back.
Yeah.
You kind of made that joke about having the friend there for for Whitaker, finishing second place at
Yeah.
at Mayhem, and you always bring friends, but the action picks up. The dynamic is just so different when you start saying, okay, yeah, you got buddies, go make it happen. And do I think that the cars are going to be? Do I think that the show is going to carry the momentum at Bash for Cash the way that Blizzard Bash does? No, that's not picking on anybody. I'm not trying to say that one's better than another. It's just going to be a different build. Last year it was a different build, and you're not going to see the amount of effort's a dirty word on this one. You're not going to see the amount of
Action.
time investment to fix the cars because I don't think that they're necessarily going to have it to need it. But I still think that it's going to be outstanding, and anytime you got a chance at taking home $30,000, it's a nice day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we've touched on it before. I mean, Blizzard Bash is sort of a beast one in its own. The cars are so heavily built, and in return, the drivers drive them like they're heavily built. But as we've said numerous times, the rebuild on those things. I mean, back when we first started going, and you could put guys out by putting them on the wall. When the walls were different. Sometimes guys got out of heats. I mean, we seen team guard.
It was less than a minute.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be cars skidded across the track the right way.
Yeah, and but now you don't come out of that unscathed. Nobody comes out of it unscathed. So I mean, at least you're going to be rebuilding the suspension on the front end, or you're going to be. So I mean, it's it's definitely different. And Bash for Cash are not going to be built as heavy, but I mean, it's going to take more precise driving, and you are going to see tires, because that's obviously what they're going to be going for. I mean, they're going to have the heavier ends and stuff like that. So, but I mean, it's going to be a good show. I'm old school, so I'm going to miss the turn back the clock class, but Frank the Tank is still there. They're having the relic class, so there's going to be something there for everybody.
I saw Tom, the guy that's been a front runner on that relic class with those Imperials. He picked up a win while we were away. Didn't get it this year at Bash for Cash, but obviously found a way to make that Imperial work. And the Jumpers picked up a couple wins, plural, while we were gone.
Did you see Steve Siopa went down and won the show in Virginia?
Yeah, Chaos in the Valley.
Chaos in the Valley. He took a Ford down there and cleaned up down there.
And then I believe the car that he won the New Alex Championship with fell into the hands of Joey Pernice, and he went and ran someplace. And
I think Nick King ran one of his cars somewhere too.
Yeah.
So Steve must be in the running car business. So that's kind of cool. But no, like you said, we've been busy. A lot of derbies going on. That definitely hasn't slowed down any.
No time waits for no man. That's for sure.
That is for sure. So,
well, we do have now that we're back, we've got the ability to tell everybody once again about Jeffy's Fab Farm. So we'll tell you about Jeffy's Fab Farm on that quick break, and then after we wrap up Jeffy's Fab Farm, we'll give you the update on hardcore. We kind of touched on that a little bit, and then we'll come right back after that. So Jeffy's Fab Farm, and then the Unified Point Series update through hardcore. The Unified Point Series wrapped up their August portion of the schedule in Hart, Michigan at TNT. Third show that they had with TNT up there in Michigan, and it was another outstanding program. Terry Abadi got the win in the youth program on Saturday. The minivan class, J.D. Lorene pulled the win down in that. And Steven Sickles was third there, but Steven was able to do a little bit better. He took the win in the bone stock class. Front-wheel drive stock class was James Freeman. J.D. Lorene was scheduled to go in that, but
Where'd you go? We did the W. Ow, my head! You want to do it?
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
2022 Hardcore Tour has one event left on the schedule. Fall Cleanup Show is going to be November the 12th at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. There are details to follow. You're going to want to stay tuned to HardcoreDerbyPromotions.com as those details come out. The final confrontation is in the books. Youth full-size national champion is Cal Norvis, Cam Penwell, and Bristol Muldoon finishing back through the top three. Modified full-size winner, Buddy Rape, Tanner Boyers, James Radish. Queen of the Ring, Melody Reed won that one over Hannah Monick and Haley Breeden. Youth Compact, McKenna Sealer, Colton Wilson, and Colt Joseph. Street Stock Compact, Jeremy Merriman won that over Adam Merriman and J.D. Lorraine. Hardcore Compact Championship went to Jesse Bates, Jacob Schaefer, and Scotty Drevenak, finishing back through the top three there. More results. Bone Stock Full Size, the winner was Dennis Hogan over J.D. Lorraine and Tyler Martin. Limited World Full Size, Toby Hiley got the win over Jordan Rutherford and Mel White. Hobby Stock winners, Bentley Fensel got the win over Ryan Steele and Preston Henshaw. Minivan and SUV, J.D. Lorraine got the win over Dennis Hogan and Jordan Cook. World Compacts, that was Josh Burns winning over Corey Dakin and Cameron Matthews. That event was part of the Unified Point Series. The Unified Point Series standings looks like this now, with only a couple shows to go. J.D. Lorraine is out in front with 182 points. Steven Sickles with 138. Ty Richards, 68 points. Trevor Jones and Scotty Drevenak now are tied for fourth, 57 points apiece. Don Santel, Bill Miller. Mark Metz jumping up to the 8th spot with 50 points. Dennis Hogan with 48, and Cody Klumke hanging in the top 10 with 42. Prebles Fall Derby is next in line on the 17th. That's going to be a Smash It show, I believe. Prebles Fall Derby going to be in Eaton, Ohio. And then Deadman Productions, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. That's a double point show at Burrito Live 3. And that is also going to be in Dunbar. That's that change that we were talking about there last time we were together. Hardcore's cleanup show at Dunbar is going to be a standard point show on the 12th, and the season is going to conclude on the 26th with Coke Promotions Turkey Derby in Wabash, Indiana. So make sure you follow along with all of the point standings and everything that is aligned with that leg of things online, ME527UnifiedSeries.com. The virtual Unified Point Series was in action as well. Kyle Homer out in front with 80 points. He got the win in the last event. Andrew Hernandez falling to second, 70 points to his credit. Michael Kuhn still hangs in there in third with 52. Earl Rafe and Colin Wiley tied for fourth with 50 each. Rowdy Burns is sixth with 48. Anthony Hernandez 46. And a three-way tie for eighth. Trevor Mulder, Johnny Shanks, and Zach Drummond with 36 points each. Coming up at the end of the month, Lookout Two-Man Nationals at Vito 324 Gaming on the 22nd. Then the Crash Course 5 event. The registrations have been opened for that on the 20th and 29th. November 4th and 5th is Stars Fall Show. And then the Turkey Derby on November the 19th for Coke Promotions. And the season will conclude December the 10th at December Devastation. Follow along again online, Facebook, jump in the Discord if you have any questions. Of course, you can ask me. And then also, we invite you to follow along for those, again, additional details. They'll be on the Facebook page as well. Frankie Guy, he's busy. He's got all the information out there for the Fall Cleanup Show. HardcoreDerbyPromotions.com. And there's a good recap of everything that was happening with the Unified Point Series and the virtual Unified Point Series. A couple shows got knocked off. I'm looking forward to the Crash Course division. There's things that hold true in the virtual realm that I'm finding always to be interesting compared to one-to-one life. You know how back in the day, Broome County, Tioga, they would run all the wagons together. Mm-hmm. So to avoid the show with those rules that we have for that event, which is similar to what they were at the Keuka Clash long ago, mm-hmm. The video game derby coming up at the end of the month is going to have qualifying heats, and it's almost going to be double elimination, single entry. So you go to a C main and then a B main on back, but it's open entries. You come through the gate, you run. That's your heat, first car heat one. But if it's round backs, and it's a little bit more expensive for round back, just like it would be Orin Imperial, you go in a heat wall by yourself. There's one round back. If you have a round back, you don't want to run against other round backs, I guess. How many times have we seen that?
It's funny. We've heard that all over.
You want everything cut down the middle as long as you get the bigger half, right?
Yeah, we've seen it firsthand that some guys are really badasses when they're in Imperial. Unless I got to run against another Imperial. If I run against 86 Chevys, I'm the man. We've seen that firsthand. So it is kind of funny to see how that works out.
Very interesting, yeah. And it could be that they didn't like the fact that it was a taller ticket to get that, but yeah. In any case, there's three Imperials and there's one round back so far. Gary Crosco, he's the brave soul. So I don't know how we're going to cross that bridge, but we'll
I mean, one wagon, then he should be in automatically. I
Should
would
just
say.
be automatic.
Free,
Yeah.
full, or fresh, except everything's fresh every heat, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
It's funny you should say that. They have figured out a way to save the cars after they run. Send the car back to you. Wow. You can't do anything to the frame, but you can take the node grabber and pull the car down. Save it and
Get
send it
out.
back. Yeah. How awesome is that?
Get out!
Yep.
Those guys
So-
are amazing.
So that was Matt is his name. At, I think it's SMR Graphics was able to figure that out. He's got banners on his tracks that actually hang, so it looks like it's got slack in the top of it. He's amazing, and he's gone in and figured out the nodes and stuff like that, so he can fix the steering and he can pull the nodes up in the springs to fix the suspension. I don't know if the tires are full of air when they reload yet, but it'll reset your engine, it'll reset your radiator, and it'll be save damage. So when they have shows over there, he runs on a server called Bagger Inc. And he basically tells you, after the Derby, I'm going to save your car and I'm going to send it back to you. Hang on to it for our next show. We'll have another one up to these rules. Pull it back down and send that file back, and you'll be able to run that car again.
That is crazy.
It is very cool where things are at right now.
I also like the one though where the guy presses the button and everything's brand new for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's awesome what they do with that stuff. It's it's amazing.
Last Saturday, I took one of the Crash Course Nationals 4 cars, one of the pure stocks, and ran a Crown Vic in a class. There was 10 cars, and it was a $5 entry, and I was just thrashing to get the car together, and I got it over. And the car was not, when I took the weld frame out of it and put the stock frame in it, it reset the engine, and it reset the transmission and everything, and I didn't pay any attention to it. I was just assumed that everything was there. I sent it in, and it was the first time I'd run against anybody since, a human being, since Cody Koch's Retro Rumble. Mm-hmm. And it had a stock 350 with 351 gears in it, which didn't go. It didn't go well at all. And the sheet metal packed around the back tires, and everybody was very upset that nobody's ever bagged this bad to win a $5 show. I ended up 3rd out of 10, and John Alexander ended up winning it. Kyle Hubble was 2nd. It was really cool, and everybody got like big time mad that I was being such a sandbagger. I felt like I had at least some legitimate reason why, but
Well, those kind of gears, I mean, 0 to 60 is like 2 days. So I mean, it's not like, it's going to launch and drive somebody right out of there. I mean, if it's a 200-yard track, you could get there and make that other run, you'd get it. But yeah, right from here to that wall, you're
it was.
Yeah, that's not the gears you want for a small show.
It was really fun though. It was fun to get back out there and do that. Now with all the stuff that can be done in terms of the fixed damage and putting the metallic finishes on it.
Plus
it's really
you
cool.
got the you bought a new computer for the program a few months ago. Is that the one you're using now for the art?
For start
to
over?
To do your gaming.
No,
so you
my
had a different one?
graphics computer got damaged at school when it got knocked off the desk.
It's hard to
So
believe.
I replaced that.
Okay, I can't remember which one
Then
it was.
we've got Iron City TV owns a laptop that we used when we were at Iron City Nationals, and then in December I bought David last year in December, maybe it was January. I bought David LeJewett's gaming PC.
Okay.
So that's just dedicated to that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's really been phenomenal watching how things evolve. Did I tell you that there's a shocker wagon in the game now too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are pretty insane as well.
Can you make the backs tougher?
Yup.
Nice.
You can. I wouldn't. You can.
What happens when you do that?
It just, well, if you don't do it right, it just goes up. It basically bellies at the firewall from behind. So the quarter panels all stay straight. The tailgate stairs where it's supposed to be.
It does this.
Yeah. But there's been pictures, man. The back bumper goes up to the roof line, and the roof line stays straight. People that build those, they know how to get them built.
That's cool.
It's the game dynamic. I know we're getting wrapped up in the minutia of that stuff. I did get a message from Josh. Adrian Gilbert was the Cup champion, and what a relic class that was at San Filippo 6.
Adrian Gilbert's had a pretty good year this year.
He's doing okay.
Yeah,
and you know what? Honestly, when you figure the scale and big picture of all that stuff, he's definitely owed some good karma.
Yeah, he definitely is, and it's good to see. I know I've talked to Jeremy a little bit. We've pretty much all out of Derby talk now, and now it's deer season. So, but he was very happy with the turnout. I think he said 414 cars. Which is
Josh said that
amazing.
number.
And what is even more amazing is how many fresh cars.
Right.
And not fresh junk. I mean, there was guys that were building very nice cars to go down there and run to raise money for San Filippo. Yes, they do give out, there's some small prizes they give out, donated by vendors, I believe.
Right.
It's like a first, second, third, or a Mad Dog. But just, I mean, the way the Derby world comes together for that.
Yeah, there's no prize money anywhere. You don't win money when you run at San Filippo. It's donated prizes only because all the money goes towards San Filippo. The final number hasn't yet been calculated, but it all goes towards an incredible cause, and they're well on their way to setting another record this year, I'm sure, with the turnout that they had. And here's the fun part about the fresh cars down there. They still only lasted 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, that's. I haven't seen Alex post his because I know Alex is there. I haven't seen him post his stuff down there yet. But I was, I asking Jeremy, and he said the muscle car heat was pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the guy's name that Jeremy delivered a car to New Hampshire. The guy got in it and then drove it to San Filippo.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Got to stop and talk to some nice police officers on the way a couple times.
And it was a Mustang.
Yes.
I mean, it was for the muscle car class. That was very cool.
So it was. I mean, they're just doing such great things. And Jeremy put out a really nice post thanking everybody, thanking his staff. I sent Jeremy a thing after I watched it, and him and Jody are very, very humble people, and they've been through the toughest thing that parents can go through. But for them to still put so much time and effort into something like this, I mean, it's just tough. Because I mean, it keeps. I would think it would keep some bad memories fresh. Mm-hmm. But they're also helping other people to make to make memories too. So I mean, it's just amazing. With Jeremy and Jody leading the charge, it's amazing what they do.
But those guys, those two, that whole family. I mean, everybody's strong
family.
Yeah, strong, but also incredibly big hearts.
Oh, yes.
They're very selfless people.
Yes.
And while I can see what you're saying in terms of all of the conversation. Ripping the scab off over and over and over, and keeping that from necessarily healing. It's also at the same time got to be at least somewhat therapeutic, because how many cars did we see running throughout the course of this year that were T. Martin?
Yep.
And how many cars did we see running through the course of this year that were fresh built and they had the SFS logos on them? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. It does. I saw this. There's a bunch of the stuffed animals on cars too,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it does due diligence in terms of paying the right tribute in the right way.
I agree.
So I think that there's probably some therapy to that, and I mean, any little bit helps somebody
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
So that's that's not a bad
you're right.
not a bad
But
thing
it's
either.
Still tough. I mean, and I admire them both for doing it, and the whole crew. I mean,
They've got a very good crew down there.
yeah, they do. And to get through that many cars, and that many heats, and it's just crazy.
And to keep it all straight.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to go out on a pretty big limb and say that's got to be. I would go second biggest car count derby in the country.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
only
second
one
to Bash for Cash.
Yeah, Bash for Cash would be the only one that would
Right.
outdo it. And that's amazing. I mean, look at the prize money that's up at Bash for Cash, and then this is, to support a great cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can't say enough about the Derby community and the way they come together. It is truly amazing. I'm more proud than ever to be a part of it. I just hope that we can keep going. We as a group can keep going and make it to that $1 million mark. That's going to be really amazing.
Jason Droz was down there, if I'm not mistaken, and then he quickly had to turn around and make his way back up to Minnesota. He was up there with Jason Sauer for another TSL show up there, and I saw a picture. He's finally made it back home. He logged some pretty serious miles between when he was working. Last time we were on, and we talked with him. He was down in Texas. He was back in New York. He was back in Pennsylvania. He was back in New York again. Now he's back in Minnesota, and he's made it back to Pennsylvania now. So never a dull moment.
No, he stays pretty busy, man. He is definitely not in one place for any one time that long. So
it does remind me that we do need to track down the video drop for Demolition Derby Life magazine. Make sure you support Lexi Droz and Demolition Derby Life magazine. I happen to notice, and I never saw this before, he's got the Demolition Derby Life logo.
Tattooed? That's awesome.
And I'm wondering what came first, if it was the ink or if it was the paper.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good one. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably the magazine, and then he did
Then he
that.
got the-
Which is still, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. So we're going to get a chance to meet up with him in person for episode number 420. He's going to be making the trip up, so we're going to be seeing him. So Nate, if you're paying attention, pencil that in on the calendar because we need to make sure that the multi-seat's working by then. Big thumbs up there. We have I knew that it wouldn't take long for news to travel. Here we go. Frankie Guy's got his details on the $60 entry, that fall cleanup show, hardcore compacts, hobby stocks, limited well, youth compacts, youth full size. Driver gets in for free. Mark's got his results from the weekend. All that stuff's rolling in now. Hopefully we got that stuff correct. This should be the final confrontation. Yeah, so we were able to scrounge up the stuff that those guys were relaying to us there. And then, like we were saying, Christy Germain, she had the point series up there. Basically, they have a north of the border unified point series up there. They're all derbying. Devin's wrecking his first 75 Impala tonight. So
It's got a New Yorker Brougham bumper on it. It is not going to take him long to point that at the sky. Hopefully we get some video of that, because Devin is definitely one of my favorite guys to watch because he gets after it. So it'll be neat to see him turn that car.
Well, he's already put the check mark next to run old iron, but he hasn't make junk yet.
Yeah.
But Kent Taylor ended up winning the figure 8 championship, and the points champion up there is Jason DuPont. So we'll be talking with them in the not too distant future about what's going on with Impact and everything over the border that way. We do have a couple more things that we wanted to tell you about over there. We've got some notes on RPM, which that reminds me, I haven't talked to Corey in forever. Hopefully everything's good over there.
He bought an island.
What?
He bought an island.
Go elaborate on that. You bought an island.
Do you want me to wait? Or do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that. We'll hit smash it, and then we'll come back and find out exactly what Corey's spending his money on now. So I love his idea, but he has bought the island that's in the middle of the Susquehanna River.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what's the odds that he's going to try to make that an independent country and crown himself emperor?
Knowing Corey, it could happen. But he's been busy, man. Been talking to him here and there, and just crazy busy, man. The Reliers aren't afraid to go out on a limb and try stuff.
That is
so
true.
Corey definitely, he's out there working it, man. And Brett too. Brett's branched out a little bit more, doing a little different business out there, and Brett won a Derby in Pennsylvania again. Bloomsburg, maybe.
Was that BMP?
No, it was a ferry one down there last year.
Okay.
He went back and won it again, so hard to believe. But probably ought to touch on Iron City Nationals. We were there for
making friends coast to coast.
Making friends coast to coast.
Dustin Woods ended up winning it. Mm-hmm. Ended up winning the whole thing. It was an outstanding show. I mean, I can't say enough about how amazing that show was. Well, I say he won the whole thing. He won his super stock flight, is what he ended up doing. So that was fun to see. Ended on a good note. He's working on putting together a 50,000 win derby with the King of Ohio next year. So that's going to.
We had two super stock heats Saturday night, and one was I think 43 minutes, and one was 47 minutes.
Yeah, they were very fast.
They were on the Toby Hiley. I would have loved to see Dustin and Toby go at it because they both had pretty clean cars. I went down afterwards and looked, and looking, it was hard to tell what Toby got hung up on. It was weird. I mean, like just enough to get not have any weight on the rear tires, and it was there he sat.
Yep.
Riley, not Cody, his brother.
Justin.
I hope he got something out of that because he had the most amazing run. Mm-hmm. I mean, that car was just, there was nothing left. He said 6 days before that, they went to put the motor in and it was set up. So they had to break the motor loose, and that motor ran. I mean, it was amazing.
Right.
All night long. Hard hitting, fast paced. It was a great night all the way around. We had a lot of fun down there. Got to see a lot of good people. We were obviously back on air together, which was amazing. I don't want to be the sappy old guy, but
so don't be.
I forgot how much fun it was to be on air and do that.
Right.
Genuinely, I had forgotten. I haven't done it with you in a while. That doesn't sound good. I hadn't been on air with you in a while, so a lot of fun. It really was to get back in there and call it and kind of do what we're pretty good at. And huge thanks to Todd and Steve for putting this together, bringing us back out, and looking forward to some pretty cool things in the future.
It was really nice to be able to do that. Vince and the crew that were running the cameras did such a great job, and we had to adjust to some things on the fly to make things better for the second night. But I mean, there was a couple of moments where we had a TV running on the midway, so people could watch the live stream downstairs over at the diecast shop, which was that was the last thing on the checklist. If I could figure out a way to do that, then everything that I wanted to do personally for that weekend, we were able to do, and it got us back to where we were supposed to be in 2020. What year is this? 2022. Last year, subtract the one around the decimal. 2021. When we tried to do that the first time, and we had to put in some work, and it was by far from perfect. But as I've told you a bunch of times, the people on the other end of the camera just see what they see, and they only know what you tell them. So if it could be chaos, as long as you keep it together, nobody on the other end necessarily has to know that. And we were able to get pretty much everything that I wanted to do done in some way, and it was crazy when I looked out the window early in the day, and we saw the cables running from the poles all the way across to the other camera, and there was the big scaffold set up, and we had the monitor with the logo on it. It was humbling, to be able to do that and to get there and to have that.
Yeah, and have so many people, so much. I mean, I got a few messages afterwards. Very humbling for the support. My Zach came down. He's become a big fan of that Derby, and the building we were in was kind of small, so he was kind of standing in the back, and Todd was off to the right. And he goes, hey, he's gonna come with me. We'll be good. And Zach was off to the VIP with Todd. So Todd took great care of Zach. Great show to watch. Like I said, it was a lot of fun to be there. I really enjoyed being able to work with you again.
And the response was great. For not being able to get in and do a full court press on the promotion of the fact that the pay-per-view was coming.
Yep.
The response was great, and I've said this 1,000 times. I can't say thanks enough to everybody that's stuck with Crash Course and the different iterations of what we've tried to do and how we've tried to do it. And in order to do what we wanted to do the way we needed to do it, we pretty much had to go the pay-per-view route to do it that way.
Yep.
And people responded. Yep. And we had great support from the people at Derby Nation too. Between Chris Grainer, we had messages from Steve Bucknam and from Steve's dad, and we had messages from in the RDP chat where George Highnote is and a bunch of the guys from there. They were watching and they said that it looks great and that it sounded great. It was just it set everything in motion to that when I tell you, like, you often are the one that bring it up, that the ride home, it's like finally the 3 days worth of, well, it was a summer's worth of stress that we had to find a way to sort of just power through and
I was happy that, because we went down on different nights, because my youngest son Nick had a game Friday, so I came down Saturday. So we had different cars. So, and Chris had drove down by himself. And some of the best news I heard all weekend was that Chris was actually going to stay there and sleep Saturday night, because I've said this a million times, and I have no I don't beseech anything bad, but when we do a big show and Chris and I are on air, when we come home, Chris usually falls asleep quick, and it's because he doesn't sleep during the weekend because he has so much stress and so much stuff going on. So to hear that, he was staying there that night and he was going to drive home the next morning, that made me feel relieved. So, as he said, things, and they did, because I try to keep in pretty good contact with him from the game. And he did. He had some stuff going on, and they worked it out as a team, and it was great because you had people helping you.
Yep.
On the technology side, which was awesome. We have
it here now.
Yeah, we have it here now. And you had Todd's guys helping with the setups. I mean, it was really nice. I mean, we've the whole crew that's been on air with us. I mean, one time we've tried to help Chris, but we just don't know the stuff like Chris does. So for guys to come in, I mean, we can help set up and we can do this and we do that, but for the technology and getting stuff out, I mean, it was nice for you to have guys to help. So really looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it's a lot of good things to come.
It's going to be awesome.
A lot of very good things to come. And then you came home and almost immediately rolled into surgery.
Almost. It wasn't long after that. It's been an interesting year, that's for sure.
So let's tell you about All For Him Racing. We'll come back, we'll wrap things up, because we still got to talk about the surgery. We still got to get through Super Dirt Week and how exciting that was. So tell you about All For Him. We'll be right back.
Where'd you go? We did a derby. Ow, my head! You want to do a derby?
Hey Derby World, this is All For Him Racing Videos, where Derby never ends. We have people come up and ask, what is All For Him Racing Videos? And the answer is a YouTube channel dedicated to growing the sport of demolition derby in a positive and fun way. Our passion is to show the next generation the sport and capture the memories for generations to come. We're just trying to show that you can be a Christian, do crazy and exciting things like demolition derby, and just spread the word. We have traveled all over the country filming events, all while meeting many great people, hearing amazing stories, seeing the passion for this sport, and falling in love with the derby community. We have grown to be the largest demolition derby channel on YouTube across the world, with millions of views within our large library of videos. We love what we do and can't wait for what the future has in store. We always want to be a place for positive, exciting, and action-packed derby videos. Thank you, Derby World, and enjoy the videos.
And we're back. So, Danny Williams, I think, was the one that was asking about where to watch. If you're talking about Iron City, you can go on Derby Nation and watch on demand. That's still available. If you want to look up All For Him Racing, he's got highlights and video from Iron City. He was also helping out at San Filippo, And Track Shot Live covered San Filippo. If you're asking about that, you can watch those on Track Shot On Demand. And then the Derby in Canada, I don't know if that's going to be live. I trust Christy will have something up later on, if that's what you're asking about. And then Track Shot had the show up in Minnesota, so you can watch that. If you wanted to watch, what was the other show that we talked about? Metal Mayhem and Final Confrontation. Those two shows were on Derby Tees. Those were Derby Tees shows, so you can find those on demand on Derby Nation. And there was one more show. Coming up at the end of the month. That is going to be Burrito Live 3. That's going to be in Dunbar this year, and I believe Derby Tees, Track Shot. Track Shot has that one. So, Danny, I think we've checked all your boxes. Now, if you wanted to watch the Derby where Bobby Kraus says he wants to go right to the feature as a past winner and try to win Crash Course Nationals 5, he won the first one. That was the one that you got to drive in. That is going to be likely on Crash Course Games. I haven't been able to breach the topic of gaming streams with Nate yet, but now that we have his attention,
Nate's gonna thinking, I gotta get another job. This is crazy.
Nate's already texting the people at FL1. He said he was in communication with Paul saying, "What have you gotten me into?" But that's going to be on Crash Course Games coming up at the end of the month. That's the same time as Burrito Live 3. Bobby Kraus, he won the first one, and it was actually in the spring at June Crash Course 4 that. Chris Parton finally broke through and got his win in that one. But we had two last things to hit on before we get out of here. I had the good fortune of going to the Bills game on Sunday while you were, I can only assume that you were dumping fuel in the cold.
I was dumping fuel. It wasn't that bad. It was not a bad Super Week days. I was only there for Friday.
Did Matt do 2 pit stops?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Matt Shepard is dominant and has been dominant for a lot of years now. We're talking this pre. He was running somewhere, I assume, top 5-ish, got a flat left front in the small block race.
Yep.
When it got flat left front, it changed the setup of his car because the weight wasn't. And the car got faster with a flat left front. So they had they were having a competition stop at around 100, they said.
They ended up throwing a caution for something at 91, and
Yep.
he went to the pits.
Everybody came in, they had their... And he said, hey, this made this better, so let's do this, and proceeded to go out and drive it to the front.
Is Randy Kazaki still on that team?
Yep, Randy Kazaki, and who's an engineer, and Matt Shepard, who are an engineer. So, yeah. So then Sunday, he went out, started pole, and we were good in time trials, but we just, with the new coil setup, we my brother runs kind of part-time now, so we don't have the laps. So we kind of time trialed well, had some, got turned into in the heat, we qualified through the heat and started mid-pack, and we're running all right, but we just missed the handle. But Matt started, pitted early, came back in at 100, changed some stuff up, and
he pitted right around lap 25, and then pitted again with that 100 spot, and he chased Mark Johnson for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't in the car, but I think he pushed him for a while and then just backed off. And then when it was time to go, I mean, they got to traffic, and he was about to go by him. They had a caution, and then it took him running, and he was the only one that was really passing on the middle, but just amazing. My son Zach went with me as the gas man. They've made it well. They have a jersey barrier that's set on top of probably a 2x6, so it's all of waist high or better. So even guys that aren't old and fat like me, it's not easy to get over. So they let us get over first, and then. So Zach handed me the can, and we dumped fuel. So he was there for his first one, and he got to watch Matt Shepard really. I mean, we're in the infield there, so he was pretty impressed watching what Matt could do with that car. So didn't go as we hoped. It was kind of fun to be back with the crew and have Zach there helping us. And
Matt is doing in modifieds what some of the greats from before, Will Cagle, when he used to win everything, and then Alan Johnson came along, and everybody was mad at Alan Johnson because he was winning everything, and then the next person came along, and he's just the best going.
Oh yeah,
right now.
It was funny. I went up in the stands at Oswego, which I'll talk to you about that off air. But I went up in the stands, and they go out for hot laps, and Matt goes to the top in hot laps. Yep, he must have the traction control device in again tonight. And I'm just like, now, I'm a huge Gary Tompkins fan. Obviously, he's my brother. And Matt and him have butted heads a few times racing. But Matt has been dominant in every form of racing he's been in. go-karts, 358, sportsman modified. He can just always drive. Again, he's a mechanical engineer. Randy Kasaki's a mechanical engineer. They have their stuff together. His car works better than everybody else, and right now he's the only one and people might get mad, Stu Friesian is the only one I would really compare to him driving-wise.
And I think that right now we're looking at, in terms of dirt modified racing, I wanted to see you to talk about this. I think we are seeing the greatest dirt modified season put together potentially of all time.
That money-wise for sure, because Matt's won the biggest paying shows this year.
Since Labor Day, he won $30,000 as the track champion and $5,000 for winning the last race of the year at Orange County. He won $20,000 at the Outlaw 200, $20,000 in the 150, $50,000 in the 200. He won $53,000 at Fonda. He slipped in a win at Georgetown for $6,000.
He won Utica Rome midweek show last week.
That was his 12th win of the year there
Yeah.
and his 37th win of the season. And we still have Eastern States. We still have the World Finals. He's leading every championship series that he's entered in this year.
And there's a big race this weekend somewhere too.
That's Port Royal, I think.
Yeah, Port Royal. Yeah,
Port Royal. That one pays $50,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, just keep your notebooks ready because he's going to win it.
Oh yeah,
You know,
he's
and until somebody comes along or he gets bored of it. Think about, he was the first driver to win 3 Super Dirt Car Series championships in a row, and he did it twice.
Mm-hmm.
And then he won the 4th one to reset his own record.
He's the only one he's won Sportsman 358 and Big Block at Syracuse. He's won. He's swept 358 and Big Block. I think twice now.
It's done. It's happened 5 times.
And he's got either 2 or 3 of them.
He's got it twice. Danny Johnson did it in 2006, and then Brett Hearn did it in 90 and 91.
Yeah, pretty good.
He's only doing things that Matt Shepard character types are doing. It's just fun to watch. And it's no different. Like people don't like Chad Markley because he does his driving style, or people don't like
Bobby
Whitaker because he does his driving style, or Don Santel, or
yep.
It's kind of the same thing.
Beat 'em.
If you don't like what they're doing, beat them.
Yeah.
And
it is funny. Like I said, I've not agreed with Matt. He's not been my favorite person, but when he gets on that track, he's the one you got to beat.
it's like Brett. This is my job.
Yeah, exactly. It's Brett Relier. I mean, there's people that don't agree with Brett Relier. Then go out and beat him. That's all you got to do. If you want to, just go beat him. If you think you can outdrive him driving hard, I'll beat him. If you think you can outdrive him, then go do it.
It's
easier
said than done.
It's motorsports. And that's the one thing that I found across the board in motorsports. The guy that's winning the most has got to be cheating.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, okay. But
Billy Decker with his throttle control.
well, there was definitely something weird going on there. I don't know what that was because, strangely enough, that car that never made that noise again. But
I didn't say traction control. I said throttle control.
yeah,
He was
throttle
working-
control. Yeah, he's got one calf that's 48 inches around.
Right. And how is the finger at this point? For
Nick is recovering. A week ago Friday, he had a game and saw him kind of acting funny with the hand. He came out and said, "I broke my finger. Can you tape it?" And I said, "All right." So I taped it up and he kept playing. We went to an ortho and they walked in and said, "Does it hurt a little bit?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you have a break here and you have to have surgery tomorrow." So a week ago tomorrow, he had surgery. Dad stayed in the room for the IV when they did the nerve block on the shoulder. I didn't watch it, but they did the nerve block on the shoulder, all that stuff. I watched him.
when you said Dad stayed in the room, I assumed that you must have sent Keith in because you were going to be able to handle it.
No, I was strong. It was cool. I don't know my wife to hit me with something, so that's why I was. But he's doing well. We went today and he got the thing off it, and he's got a smaller splint. And he started physical therapy, so things should be good. We should be back lifting here in 4 weeks, maybe 6, and away we go.
So is he going to be able to get the screw back?
I think the screws are probably going to stay in. Chris has also been busy. He's had somewhere between 2 and 37 soccer games a week for the 4 weeks we haven't been on air.
It's been a lot.
So
It actually worked out. In terms of the soccer schedule, we are going to have to shuffle to Tuesday next week
Yeah,
if you're available because we do have one of our last games on Monday next week. But Alan had a bone bruise in his foot for one of the
That is
games.
nothing to mess with.
So he had to
They hurt.
he had to sit out the game in Geneva. And his buddy Caleb and Thomas both got goals.
Did he accidentally kick somebody?
Well, we can talk about that more later. He did not. He did not accidentally kick somebody.
Okay.
He's had ankle issues before, but that's neither here nor there. But he came back and he scored against Seneca Falls.
Awesome, good for
So
him.
he got his first goal of the season there.
Good.
And Kelsey scored 3 goals on Saturday in for these youth soccer, rec soccer. That was a barn burger. It was a ton of fun to watch. So she scored that Saturday, and she's up to 15 on the year.
Does she play? Wow, that's awesome. Does she play with Bryce O'Connell, or are they different age groups?
I haven't seen Bryce at the game. She
Okay,
plays
they-
with. What grade
is
she's
she
in
in?
4th grade.
Okay, yeah, Bryce is older.
So he's a little bit older.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and then Saturday night, I got to go announce Mid Lakes homecoming.
Yeah, I
at Boswell
forgot to
Field.
mention Chris has become a football announcer.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And that was a ton of fun. And again, I got to dial a few things on an audio system, and I accidentally played the national anthem over the top of the varsity band that was supposed to play the national anthem. So we haven't been to school yet to answer for that, but I'm sure that Mr. Trowbridge is going to have some opinions. But that was really cool, and I'm going to be going to the Lions versus Mid Lakes at Newark game on the 21st to round out the season, and
Cool.
They asked me to potentially consider basketball and maybe wrestling.
Really?
Yep, and I said wrestling, basketball, whatever. I'm very excited to add that, and then we had some more cool conversations about how we can further expand what we're doing with the news crew and the live content at the school and getting the kids involved. So
Mid Lakes they do an amazing job of getting their kids, their athletes, their band kids, everybody's achievements out on Facebook. And it is great. Now, I know that kids don't do it for that reason, and it's not what it's about, but it's so nice because it makes those kids so happy. I mentioned earlier with Jim and his crew, when they cover the basketball games, that's not what it's about, but it makes those kids so happy, and it makes them feel so good. It's awesome.
the conversation that I was having with John at the game, with Mr. Lombardi at the game, is that Mid Lakes has always, with Keith Giles, has always had an outstanding theater program. And why not give the kids that are into theater...
That'd be awesome.
Excuse me. Hang on. Why not give the kids that are into media production the same opportunities that they have in the theater program? And if anyone, why not? Why not me?
That's awesome.
And we're going to try and find a way to expand it, because as I found out, and I didn't know this, there's some other varsity sport programs that have been inching closer and closer to this, and I just think it'd be awesome to be able to give the kids some exposure. Not on TV, some exposure to be able to do the production, get it to be student-led, because it would be awesome if we could be able to do that. But it's all things in time. Just like when we were down at Iron City, that building was tight and it was cramped and it was small. I picked that building for a reason. I wanted it uncomfortable if anybody started wandering up thinking they were going to hang around, and I also wanted it so that it was just us up there. And then if it ever started to rain, God forbid, we at least had one camera under shelter.
Yeah, that was good planning on your part.
Yeah.
It wasn't. We've been in worse places. I mean, it was fine for us, but we weren't going to have, which is nice. We weren't going to have 15 people try to come in and hang out, and so it was fine. I mean, I'm a by no means, and you said it was we were going to be dry, and it was, but it was cool. It was, and again, I was so happy to be back doing that, and thankful to everybody that got the subscription and watched us and gave us all the support.
Yep, very much so. Very much so, and the sky's the limit on all this stuff. It's like anything else. You're going to get out of it what you put into it, and if your heart's in the right place, man, sometimes things just fall in place. Like what we saw with San Filippo, 414 cars, they had fresh cars and everything.
Do you want to hear something that's completely insane? Nick's anesthesiologist his last name was San Filippo.
How about that?
He walked in, I said, "Hi, I'm Dr. San Filippo," and I went, "What?" Like I'd never 10 years ago, I had no clue what San Filippo was. But to hear that, I was like, wow, that's interesting. So, or just not really. I mean, it was a coincidence, but it was weird that was his guy.
Well, we've hit on pretty much everything that we want to for tonight. And like I said, we're going to have some guests coming into the studio. We're going to try and get our phone call game up and running for next Tuesday. We're going to be back here next Tuesday. I'm going to try and get a hold of Jason, let him know that all the renovations are done and that we're ready to go. So final round should be out here in a couple weeks, and we'll keep Nate just as busy as we can through the course of the coming weeks as we move forward. And that's going to do it for this one. 414, named after the highway up the road.
Absolutely.
6 more episodes. We'll have some guests in studio. It's been great, and it was really nice to get back in here. Awesome job on the renovations to Finger Lakes.
Amazing.
It's been
It's
great.
beautiful.
Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to do it again next Tuesday. We'll see you then.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLinks1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.